How can anybody fall for this? News has been rampant recently about the French lady who left her husband because a fake Brad Pitt sent her a poorly created AI image of himself in a hospital bed, needing close to $1 million for his fake cancer treatment, which she paid, and obviously the whole thing was a massive scam. Obviously.
We all would have seen this coming from a mile off, right? Sure. Now, I'm not Brad Pitt, I'm DJ Slope from the YouTube channel Slope's Game Room. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because today, I'm here to tell you that there was a whole lot more to this story that wasn't reported on.
As the story came out of France and was originally reported on by the French news media, most of what has been shared has been nothing more than puffy news headlines, which begs the question again, who the hell would fall for this? Thankfully, with the help of my French-speaking wife, we was able to dig a little deeper and find out how this whole thing happened and what came after in one of the biggest catfish scams in history. Starting with the victim, Anne, a 53-year-old mother from France who was unsurprisingly extremely social media illiterate. Well, back in February of 2023, Anne signed up to Instagram and started following several family members in order to share and see, whatever 53-year-olds share and see on Instagram. Now, I understand that the vast majority of you, 99.9% of you, will know how to use social media properly. However, I will need to explain over a few obvious things here to get you into the mindset of a 53-year-old woman that's never used sites such as Instagram. Such as, when you sign up and you have an extremely small following list, social media sites need to fill up your timelines. And as social media has grown over the years, more often than not those timelines are filled with paid for accounts posting all types of utter nonsense. We all hate to admit it, but we've all watched that stupidly long cooking video or that obscure DIY video in order to see how it ends. Of course, you're never happy with the ending. Heck, you check the comments and see that nobody was happy with the ending. Still, because you did watch it to the end, you just told the social media platform that you liked it and that you want to see more. And day by day, that feed starts to become less about your little niece's ballet rehearsals and more about how to make mashed potatoes from Pringles. And it was during a ski trip in the French Alps that Anne saw a pretty basic picture on Instagram of Brad Pitt and gave it a little double tap. That's Instagram's way of giving a post a like for all you non-food selfie takers out there. Now, this is the part of the story where the news sites tell you that fake Brad Pitt got in contact with her. However, it actually wasn't fake Brad Pitt, it was fake Jane Pitt, Bradley Pitt's mother. Now, of course, this still seems an unlikely scenario that virtually everyone watching would instantly dismiss, but yep, that happened. In fact, during one of the only interviews discussing this, Anne was completely unaware of the verification process that accounts like these should have alongside their names. She even stated that she too thought it was fake. "It's ridiculous," she told French television outlet TF1, "but I'm not used to social media and I didn't really understand what was happening to me." By double tapping on that picture, the people behind the fake Brad Pitt account were notified of someone that probably didn't realise that this was a fake Brad Pitt account. Over the next several months, that distrust that Anne had for fake Jane changed to trust as the two continued building up, in Anne's eyes at least, a genuine friendship. And with the divorce between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie becoming more well known in the media, it wasn't long before Jane started suggesting that she would put Anne in contact with Brad. "It's a woman like you that my son needs," she once messaged, and that was when fake Brad Pitt finally messaged Anne. Again, several months later, and again, I'm sure most people watching would have never let it get this far. But at the same time, again, several months later, I'm guessing that at least some of you will probably know of some distant family member that may have fallen for what has happened so far. The manipulation up to this point has been completely downplayed by most people covering this story. And sadly, it's about to get a whole lot worse for Anne. as when fake Brad Pitt did eventually message Anne, he wasn't interested. This would leave Anne, who was recently divorced by the way, to feel vulnerable and embarrassed to think that someone like Brad Pitt would ever be interested in speaking to a nobody like her from France. The scammer would bounce between Jane and Brad messaging Anne as fake Jane continued to pressure fake Brad to give real Anne a chance. Keeping up? "I'd like to know more about you," he told Anne, "but I'd like to know whether you work in the media, as I'm protective of my private life." Over time, fake Brad warmed to real Anne, and the two became friends and even started up a bit of an online relationship. Now, I just condensed a whole lot of information into just one sentence, but in actual fact, fake Brad, real Anne, and fake Jane all chatted for about a year and a half. During this time, he would send her pictures that have not been publicly seen, as well as a picture of a fake passport to prove that it was him, and even the odd AI created video clips of himself saying a few words to the camera, further proving in Anne's eyes that this is, without a shadow of a doubt, the real Brad Pitt. The scammers also redirected their phone number to look like it was coming from America. Over time, he would send poems and romantic messages that were specific to Anne herself, based on what she was sharing and what she was telling him. These scammers really did do their homework. This wasn't just some scripted thing. This was a guy or a girl pretending to be Brad Pitt and building up a real relationship with Anne, with the end goal of obviously taking money from her. This is not what you may have heard by badly translated news sources, but according to the agency FindMyScammer.com, who helped Anne during the aftermath, this is actually what happened. What you may have also heard is that the, spoiler alert, the 830,000 euros that was eventually stolen from Anne was done in one big swoop, when in actual fact, during that 1.5 year relationship, Anne ended up paying several smaller amounts such as 10,000 euros to help him through customs. Information is a little scarce with how this money was stolen, what reasoning a multi-millionaire like Brad Pitt would give for needing to borrow 10,000 euros, or how many times these sort of things went down. But what we do know is that it did happen at least once with relative ease for the scammer, and that was more than enough for them to realise that they could probably do it again. "There are so few men who write you this kind of thing," Anne told the news station. "I liked the man I was talking to, he knew how to talk to women, it was always very well done." Which finally brings us to the main event, when fake Brad Pitt was unfortunately diagnosed with fake kidney cancer. According to Cancer Research UK, about half the people born in the UK will develop cancer at some point in their lives. And if you are somebody that has never had to deal with that yourself, think yourself lucky, because Anne was someone that had dealt with it. Anne was a cancer survivor herself, someone that had beaten brain cancer, and she's also someone that lives with HIV. And for anybody out there that has gone through a similar struggle will know pulling on those sensitive threads is likely to result in a seriously vulnerable individual. Which is why when you look at these terribly doctored Brad Pitt images of him in the hospital, you're probably now looking at them with a slightly different viewpoint. Yes, they look ridiculous, some more than others. Heck, these two are the exact same picture reversed. Hang on, so are these two. In fact, this one is the main picture from his Wikipedia page. But again, without knowing the backstory, the struggles that Anne was going through, or the fact that she was already convinced that this was Brad Pitt before those pictures were ever sent, yet sure, you and I probably would not have fallen for this, but at the very least, it is a little bit more understandable. Also, not to get nitty gritty, but this isn't AI. Well, not for the most part, it's just photoshopping, and bad photoshopping at that. So, as you all well know, she did stump up the cash, and along with all of the other amounts of money that she had paid up to this point, the final amount was 830,000 euros. If the previous build up to this didn't at least give you the understanding as to why she did what she did, how about adding onto that that fake Brad Pitt's fake agent, who also got in touch, sent her his passport as proof too, letting her know that fake Brad Pitt had been speaking incredibly highly of her. Good old fake Brad Pitt's fake mum also pleaded for Anne to save her young boy. And far more sinister than that, fake Brad Pitt's fake doctor made sure to let her know that if she didn't pay for her medical bills, which were also faked and sent to her by the way, then she would be responsible for the death of fake Brad Pitt. I wonder if Brad Pitt will play fake Brad Pitt when the eventual movie comes out. And for those that don't know, the reason fake Brad Pitt gave as to why he couldn't pay for this himself was because pain in the arse ex-wife Angelina Jolie had gone and frozen his bank account since the divorce, hadn't she? Bloody Lara Croft wannabe.
In order to sound like Brad Pitt, the scammers even went as far as to use AI-generated voice changers, just like the one I'm using here.
Now, once the scammers had got their money, strangely enough, they didn't do a runner straight away. My guess is because they thought they could probably squeeze a little bit more out of her. However, by this point, the cracks in fake Brad's story had started to show after Anne saw a news report that showed Brad Pitt, as in the real Brad Pitt, dating another woman. When she frantically started reaching out to fake Brad Pitt to question this, he explained that what she saw was nothing more than a scene from an upcoming film. And in a sinister yet brilliantly well-timed manner, he completely diverted her attention away from all of that, by accusing her of leaking to the press that they were a couple. Confused, Anne forgot all about that other woman and started to plead to fake Brad Pitt that she wasn't the one that spread the news, which was when fake Brad Pitt sent along the following news video.
According to Mr. Brad Pitt, he is in an exclusive and loving relationship with one special individual who holds an exceptional place in their heart, who goes by the name of an individual.
Somehow, this obviously fake news report still didn't break the illusion for Anne, as she tried to comfort the reassured fake Brad Pitt that it wasn't her that leaked the news story, as she got new messages from fake Brad Pitt's fake doctor that fake Brad Pitt is now chugging down pills in order to try and commit suicide after she did what she did. As if the manipulation couldn't get any worse. Thankfully, after this, the realization that, you know what, this might not be the real Brad Pitt finally started to sink in for its final time. According to Anne, she had doubted many times before that this may not be the real deal, but every time she did, that would be when something like the news report would be sent to take her mind off it. Thankfully, it was her daughter, who was younger and therefore wiser to the world of social media, who was the person that laid down the facts and explained to her that this is all fake. And that was the end of the relationship between real Jane and fake Brad Pitt. But unfortunately for Anne, the worst was yet to come. After reporting the hackers to the police, who didn't really get very far, Anne decided to reach out to a popular French news station in order to tell her story, supposedly to protect future victims from falling into the same trap. Obviously, with a story as crazy as this one, the station jumped at the chance, sending out an investigator to work through everything that had happened in order to create a nice beefy news story. And the reason you're not seeing footage of that particular news report is because it no longer exists. Supposedly, that report just reported on what you've heard so far before you saw this video and not much else. A dappy French chick who left her husband for a fake Brad Pitt because someone sent her AI created images of the actor in bed claiming to have cancer. Now again, I haven't seen this news report, as Anne, who asked for her face to be blurred and her name not to be shown originally, was furious with what was reported. And yes, let's play devil's advocate here. It's very likely that a lot of the information has left that report and gone via the Chinese Whispers Express, ending up with what you've heard before you watched this video. But considering that news station has now deleted that news story ever since it went live, It doesn't make him look too good, does it? Anne has now become the face of ridicule, someone who has quite literally lost it all. And she's been made fun of for that very reason. Even Netflix France had a little dig too when they promoted 4 films that feature Brad Pitt. No, really, the real one that you could watch right now for free. Currently, as of the scripting of this video, January 14th, 2025, Anne is under constant supervision after several failed suicide attempts in hospital and is being treated for depression. A lot of this information came from the Legend report, which included an interview with the good hackers who did discover the location from where the scammers operated. And sadly, according to them, these reports of the cases come in quite frequently. He explained that this particular group of scammers aim for elderly or vulnerable people using sentimental elements when creating their scams, and even found a similar operation that included a fake Keanu Reeves. In fact, there are about 30 victims in total that have been caught out by this particular group, but of course, Anne is by far the biggest within the world of celebrity identity theft scamming. And what's crazy about this is that the good hacker from findmyscammer.com knows the exact location of the scammers. This information has been passed on to the police, and the organisation is working for free to help Anne with this entire ordeal. The only silver linings moving forward are: 1. The French website Litchi, which looks to be a kind of French GoFundMe, has been set up to help Anne get back on her feet. And 2, the fact that Anne is taking her bank to court as they did not give the proper protection that they should have done by law for such a large amount of money. As when such large transactions are made, the banks are supposed to get in touch to find out if there's any money laundering going on or possibly. However, when she sent payments abroad, she did not sign or authorize liability charges for those transactions. Who knows how much, if anything, Anne will get back from this horrific ordeal. Hey there guys, thanks for checking out the video. This has been hardcore to get this video out so quickly. Obviously I wanted to jump on this when everyone else was talking about it and actually give the full story as to what went down with this whole thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this bit of a different take on the normal kick scammer videos that I make. I just found this whole thing so fascinating, I had to make a video on it. But either way, this is the part of the video where I'd like to give a massive shout out to all of my Patreons, all of my YouTube members that allow me to make videos like these, with an extra big shout out going to the following Patreons and YouTube members: Ye Old Hamburglar, Vike Echo, Vitas Varnes, The Sneaky Ferret, Shadow Dragon, Sir Nilsson, Ryan Burford, Richard Aldergic, Retro to Next Gen aka Lou, Paul Float, Nicholas Bertner, Mind of the Unsane, Mike Fallon, Matt Jackson, JM, Jeff Mianowski, James, Java Al Aiden, Jay is Manchild, Ian Quell, Derekuda, Dina81, Dina, The Action Saxon, Conrad Constantine, Chev Matic, Casey Samples, Bram Perez, Boots and Pup, Arista, Andrew Dalton, and Akatimo84. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I really can't thank you guys enough. And look, if you guys want to support the show as well and get your name down there like you see all of these other people do, and just support the show, allow me to make these sort of videos, then please do consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. Otherwise, just giving a like, a comment, subscribing, all that jazz helps as well. Thank you guys so much for your support. It truly does mean the world. But hopefully I'll see you all next time guys for the next video. Bye bye.